I think it's about time we call this shooting what it is. Uh, the Second Amendment is no longer about protection. The Second Amendment is no longer about helping fellow citizens. It's no longer about America, not as a whole, not as a country. The Second Amendment is just about compensation. People trying to compensate for their shortcomings in life. People trying to compensate because we have a major manhood problem in this country. The Second Amendment seems to only be about the Second Amendment, not about really what it means to have the right to bear arms in a free nation. It's not about protecting your fellow citizen. It's not about protecting against foreign and domestic terrorists or threats to people's health and safety. It's just about symbolism. It's just about LARPing. It's just about the Second Amendment. You know, it says something about what this Second Amendment really means to people when the fight seems to always be about ignoring mental illness, ignoring mass shootings, ignoring the fact that guns are the number one killer of children in this country now. It says that the Second Amendment, which was written many generations ago, in the age of the Revolutionary War against a monarchy, at a time where muskets took like 5 minutes to reload, is actually relevant to today's world, where we have automatic weapons and socio-political feuds between people who are supposed to be on the same side. Fellow Americans, our friends, our neighbors, our families, our communities, not foreign enemies, not agents of the state which consistently overstep their bounds, but other random people who live and work and vote and pay their taxes and are entitled to all the same freedoms and the access that they are. It's not about protecting themselves or any of their neighbors from government overreach or some gray dawn, red dawn type of invasion from a foreign nation. Gray Dawn, the South Park episode, sorry. But seriously, it's not about protecting anybody. The Second Amendment nowadays just seems to be about protecting the Second Amendment. It's symbolism. It's about carrying rocket cases into Walmart just because they can. It's about a bunch of little man children cosplaying as army men at 35 years old and 400 fucking pounds because they need to compensate. Too many of these people seem to think that the Second Amendment means that they can deputize themselves at any time, at any place, for situations that have nothing to do with them in places they are absolutely not wanted, where nobody asked for their help and nobody needs their help. So what we end up with are 1,000 little Kyle Rittenhouses who LARP as army men and carry guns into their own personal battles against other innocent Americans, carrying guns into fights that they have created with other people over bullshit petty reasons. And what you end up with is exactly what we've got. You have dead children, you have dead minorities, Nazi manifestos, and these little mentally ill cult members driven to murder like unofficial sleeper agents for corrupt politicians and right-wing pundits. And it's not right. One thing I can safely say about the Second Amendment, it was not intended for insecure pricks to settle scores against innocent fellow citizens. It was not intended for angry incels to plan premeditated mass murder at the town square. And it was not intended from some random fat fuck to mow down children. That's something I can say safely with 100% confidence. And these people on the right need to shut the fuck up when they conflate modern weapons of war with the founding fathers. George Washington would shit his fucking britches if you showed him a gun that could fire 1,000,000,000 bullets a minute with a 2-second magazine replacement. Amendments are called amendments because they're supposed to amend the Constitution every so often. Amendments are amendments because they change, they alter, they update our Constitution as generations go by. Just like we've already done a number of times. It isn't about hiding behind the nation's founders and following their original outline absolutely literally for all eternity. What do you expect is going to happen if we do that? If we model every aspect of our lives in this country after a bunch of stocking wearing founding fathers from the 18th century. These MAGA NRA gun nuts are what happens when we do that. And it's sad. That's part of the reason we're a laughingstock to the rest of the world. What the founding fathers had was an idea, and it's our turn, our time to run with it. Things change as time goes on. In order to continue to improve and keep things relevant, amendments are going to need to be made. That's why the overwhelming majority of this country is far past ready for some new ones. That's just the way it is. That's the way it has to be. And it doesn't mean every single gun needs to be taken away. It doesn't mean the entire world is going to crack up and fall apart. It does not mean you're not still an American citizen in an American free country. I get the feeling these LARPers are so fucking concentrated on the Second Amendment and taking it literally. They are completely blind to the reality around them. And the idea that making amendments, making changes, taking care of your people, what the majority in this modern day wants is freedom. That is freedom. That is what you're supposed to have the right to do. Predicting the Jacksonville gunman's political affiliation. Why do we already know more about Jacksonville than we do about Nashville? Because it fits the narrative. Anything to paint Trump and his supporters in a negative light. Yeah, you got these people on Twitter, people bitching, how do you know he's right-wing? He's a mass shooter. He's probably Antifa. Well, these idiots are admitting to it and they don't even realize what the fuck they're saying. Anything to paint Trump. Nobody said anything about Trump. You're saying that. So what are you really telling everybody? funny. Reports only mentioned he was racist and racially motivated to kill black people. It seems to be Trump supporters that are identifying him as one of their own. Exactly. They're essentially both ignoring the gun and jumping the gun at the same time. Every freaking time I say something when I look at Reddit. Every time I say something and it's on Reddit. They believe every piece of bad news is a federal psyop against them. They are literally that dumb. They are not smart. They are not intelligent. No MAGA supporter has an ounce of quality brain power. They refuse to believe they would be the bad guy, despite their God being a criminal who would sell them for a penny. If their blood fueled his private jet, there'd be daily mass sacrifices. Outside of the MAGA bubble, everyone is aware of which American political party Nazis favor. Hell, if racism doesn't necessarily mean Trump, if racism and mass shooting people based on hatred doesn't automatically mean right wing or political at all, why do you make it political? Why do these people leave manifestos saying that they love Trump and they love MAGA and they're making it political? Or it's directly because of political right-wing pundits. Those cultists would slit their own throat to donate as much blood as they could before passing out. Yes, let's keep on saying the truth. These people are flat out ignorant, stupid, dumb. And all of these domestic terrorists need to be monitored, flagged, rounded up, and jailed. Zero tolerance for any racist Nazi BS. We can't even keep our citizens safe from these disgusting low-life criminals. Instead, the Republicans arm them to the teeth. This is war on our citizens, and we need to stand together to stop it. Yeah, that's another thing. They all are neo-Nazis. They all quote Hitler. And they leave manifestos. And they talk about racial purity. But they want to say the Second Amendment is American freedom in its original written form. Your country, your government fought against Nazis. We already won this one, remember? So government is important when it comes to what the Founding Fathers wrote in the Constitution about your right to keep guns and bigger guns and more powerful guns. But when actual wars are fought, specifically against certain groups that promote hatred and genocide, that doesn't really matter so much. That's not what America is about. That's not what freedom is about. These gun nuts only believe in their freedom to decide who lives or dies. Their freedom to compensate for a tiny dick by carrying rocket launcher cases into Walmart or gun belts to the local pick and save. And a lot of people already get this. They don't seem to have gotten the memo. How pathetic it is. How fucking stupid and pathetic it looks. I mean, these are a group of people so stupid that then when they were ordered to commit a coup, they completely and utterly failed. That's really what the GOP is so mad about regarding J6. That they climbed a wall where there were stairs nearby. That they were let in by cops and spent time stealing useless shit and then shitting on desks. And the one person who almost got the job done managed to get shot. Here's my take on this. It was understood they were not to go too far. I believe there were many concealed handguns in that crowd, but they were ordered not to use them unless it got out of control. Because if there had been shooting, the National Guard would have to be called in, and all of them would be killed. These were Trump's people, and he would not want them hurt. He just wanted to stall the electoral counting process. That's why Chuck Grassley announced the day before he would be presiding over the count because Pence was not supposed to be there. I believe that the Secret Service was to take Pence somewhere for his own protection until it was done, but he refused to get in the car. Tells me he knew the plan but refused to go along. I don't believe, as some do, that they were going to kill him. Just keep him away from the proceedings. I don't think so. It's a nice theory. But J6 occurred because Trump did not win the election. He was already a failure in that aspect. That's why they got their panties in a bunch and stormed over to the Capitol, stopping, of course, for their Mountain Dew and their gas station hot dogs and Mickey D's. You think Trump would give a fuck if each and every one of them had gotten put down that day? No. Yeah. This guy still seems to be under the impression that Trump and most of the people on the right are normal, thinking, empathizing human beings. No. These people go to the store, they're out of their favorite cereal, so they tweet about it being an Antifa plot against them. The best part of the PSYOP. What is this? What's the best part? Trust the plan. Honest government ad.
The plan. The best part of this PSYOP is you'll believe you're in a PSYOP, except that's not the PSYOP you're actually in, but the PSYOP where we let you think you're in a PSYOP. PSYOPception. All we have to do is tell Il Duce to say tip top next to a white rabbit. Q-proof. Joining QAnon is easy because at its core there are some truths. Like, the media really does lie to you. There really are powerful predators out there, and there really is a global pedophile ring that ritually abuses kids. But as you follow Q's droppings, you'll gradually LARP yourself deep into the rabbit's rectum, where you'll find others who yearn to fight injustice just like you. The 5G crew, the Plandemic crowd, the FEMA camps, and chemtrail folks too. All LARP together into a single LARP we can control. Where we LARP one, we LARP all. In exchange for all this entertainment and newfound sense of purpose, all we ask for in return is your help. No, you fucking idiots, not to arrest Hillary. You see, we have no intention of ceding power at this election. So if it looks like we're winning on election night, we'll declare victory, even though millions of votes are still being counted. And if we're losing, we'll declare the election rigged. Either way, that's your cue to get in the streets and prevent further mail-in ballots from being counted. Just like what happened in Florida when rioters shut down the recount of the 2000 election. Among those rioters was this fuckwit, the same one who is now urging us to declare martial law should we lose the election. And among the lawyers who helped to stop the recount was the same one we're pushing hard to appoint to the Supreme Court right now. Coincidence? Follow the white fuckwit. All this should alarm patriots. Except Q is convinced patriots. Even the guy who spent decades warning you about the police state martial law. That martial law is now a good thing. The only thing that can ruin our plan to repeat 2000 is if there's an overwhelming voter turnout against us, which is why we've been doing all we can to deregister millions of you, purge voter rolls, and close polling stations to make voting as hard as possible. What's that? When do we take down the deep state? Aw, honey. The guy who exposed the real deep state is being tortured by it right now. And where are you? Oh, that's right. Q told you to trust the plan and have a big circle jerk on Aiken. The great Oankening. And that's the purpose of QAnon, to convince those who would normally be on the front line of fighting our shitfuckery to sit by and watch as we prosecute your truth tellers, purge your justice system, and rat fuck this election. QAnon. Nothing can stop what's coming, because you'll be sitting on your ass when it does.
Cute. In part, it's what narcissists do. Incapable of self-reflection or apology. Deflect, call names, make up lies. That's pretty much the most important qualifying factor for being in the GOP. But I love my pew-pew. Don't take it away. That's the takeaway from mass shootings. That it is. That it is. That's all it is. That's all it's become. You know, when the Constitution was written and they penned the Second Amendment, like I said, people were taking 5 minutes at a time to restuff their muskets full of flint powder and little metal ball bearings. They were literally fighting for their country, their new territory, from a monarchy. They were protecting all of their own and fighting against the redcoats. Fighting against the red. God. I think maybe the founding fathers might turn over in their graves. I think, well, you don't need them. The majority of this country is already super embarrassed watching these fat, disgusting, overgrown man-children using the Second Amendment to justify going after other citizens, other regular people, while their government and their law enforcement continues to overstep their bounds, makes things more and more difficult for every generation that comes up. There's hunger. There's all manner of hidden fees on everything you buy. People that make the least amount of money are taxed the most. We've got multi-billionaires from other countries coming into this one because all of our politicians are bought off. They deregulate the shit out of everything. So a few people get everything and the masses get nothing. And what are they so gung-ho about when it comes to their Second Amendment? Taking care of any of this shit? No. They're worried about black people in their Dollar General. They're worried about gay people getting married. They're worried about trans people having an identity. They're worried about children walking onto their lawns. They're worried about all the women that won't fuck them. So they gotta go into a school and take out about 50 fucking children, while cops stand there and do nothing and prevent parents from trying to go in and do their jobs for them. Where are all the good guys with guns when police members paid by the state are doing this to parents. Where's your Second Amendment when it comes to that overreach? When it comes to the state crossing the line like that? Nowhere. If sawed-off shotguns and short-barreled rifles and machine guns can have extra restrictions on them, why can't AR-15s and similar guns also have those same restrictions? Short-barreled rifles have required special approvals for almost 100 years. The same laws should be applied to other firearms as well. An AR-15 is arguably more dangerous than a sawed-off shotgun, right? Why not require fingerprints, additional registration fees, or longer waiting periods for the purchase of AR-style guns too? Ed, do you think this hasn't been brought up about 50 billion times already? This guy was mentally ill. They let him have this weapon anyway. They don't care about any type of restrictions. These are the same people that will bitch that they're against abortion. When it comes to people fighting for the right to make decisions on their own bodies, no, that has to be regulated by the government and them. All right? But when it comes to guns being the number one killer of children in this country, not abortion, guns. Proven fact. More than car accidents, more than medical infirmities, more than other accidents, guns. The cold, hard facts. Guns, especially AR-15s or automatic weapons, the type of shit that we have today that they didn't have back in the 18th century, is the number one killer of children. Factual, 100%, number one killer of children in this country. Not abortion, guns. They don't care because they have the right. Women don't have the right, but they have the right, as children are literally dying. They don't care about anything that's common sense. They don't care about any type of restrictions. Their guns are way too important to them. Like I said, they're not using their guns to change the government. They're not using their guns against people who deserve to learn a lesson about overstepping their bounds or starving or torturing or killing people in this country every day. No, they want their guns just because they can have their guns. It's not about anything that the Second Amendment was originally meant to offer you. To these people, the Second Amendment is just about the Second Amendment. It's there so I can. It's written there so it helps me compensate. It makes me feel good. It's a security blanket. It's all for show. I would never do shit if push came to shove. None of these people would do shit. You think all of these pundits sitting behind their computers, sitting in their studios or in their newsrooms that are pushing for this kind of bullshit would ever leave their cushy positions to go out and lead the fight? Never. These people that drive, they don't prevent, they drive these murderers. These people don't anger people. They don't influence these nutcases. They don't tell them who to hate and who to go after because they feel so strongly they're going to go out and lead the charge. They're not saying all of these things because they're going to do anything. They're saying this shit so that you go out and do it. So that nutcases like this latest shooter go out and do it. Take care of their dirty work. Give them something to talk about. Give them a nice springboard into examining the problem with undesirables in this country and furthering the rhetoric along, furthering the agenda along, and driving more nutcases to do this shit. And don't tell me that's not how it works. This is what? Our 2,400 something mass shooting this year so far? I don't know. That's it. That's all I have to say. Just wanted to get that off my chest.